We're back again for more of our Gencon Bonanza Explosion Blown coverage. Hey, I'm right here. How are you doing? So we're here. We're at Gencon 2019. Thanks to all of our amazing Kickstarter backers and these spectacular companies here who donated games to make the Gencon Bonanza possible. Huge shout out to them. And of course, our big sponsor, Steve Jackson Games, who has the new Deadly Doodles and Tasty Mitchell Games. So right now, I don't get a chance to play too many games on Gen Con, unfortunately, just because we're doing crazy amounts of interview and crazy amounts of upload and all that sort of stuff. But I did get a chance to go to the Renegade Games Renegade Rally, which I'm going to do a separate video, my thoughts about that. But for right now, afterwards, we got a chance to try some of the upcoming games. So I got a chance to try one, and that was ClipCut Parks, which they were excited to announce was the first ever roll and cut game, as odd as that sounds. So how it works is you're going to get this sheet of paper, which is just like a big grid, and on the back of the grid, there were a whole bunch of little squares that had different colors and different symbols, and all sorts of stuff like that. You roll a die in the middle, and then everyone is going to have to make the cuts that are on the die. So it might say 1, 2, 3, which means you now have to make a cut of 1 on the grid, so just one little cut, so one little boop, and then a cut of 2, and then so you go boop, boop, or a cut of 3. Boop, 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 or you can go boop, 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 or even boop, boop, boop. You can do it at any angle. Now, when you're making these cuts, eventually what's going to happen, since you're cutting from all different directions and all different sides, are pieces are going to start falling off. And in front of you, you're going to have some cards. I believe it was 2 cards. Yeah, you're going to have 2 cards in front of you, and you're trying to race to get through all your cards as fast as you can. And so when pieces of paper would come off of this thing that you're cutting, you actually can put those pieces of paper onto the cards in front of you. But there were certain restrictions. There were like bridges, which means you had to have like, maybe it was like a green piece and then another piece directly connected to it. So you couldn't put 1 square here and 1 square here. They had to be 2 squares attached to each other. So you'd have to think about how you're going to be able to cut that out. Also, when you completed them, you gained like special abilities that would let you maybe make extra cuts or ignore some rules, like, oh, you can ignore a color or something like that. It was a really interesting game. 1 to 4 players, ages 8+, 30 minutes. I got absolutely crushed by this super nice lady. We sat down, we played a 3-player game, we played the whole game. We were all really kind of enthralled with it. And it's just, on to my thoughts of it, it's completely different. And it really just makes you think in a different way because, you know, the cuts you need to make are really like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and this. And then it's like, oh, I have to make a 4 cut, which just means boop, 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 boop. But when you're doing that, especially towards the middle and the later part of the game, you're going to be cutting off other pieces. And if you can't use those pieces, then they just get thrown off to the side. So you have to be really careful about how you're cutting things. Now, also, these grids that I talked about with all the pictures was single-sided. They weren't double-sided. So you had to like really be thinking about how they were going to fit onto the card because they had to fit in a very specific way on the cards. They look kind of like Tetris pieces, but different stuff like that. I was a big fan of it. I thought it was, I think it's going to be a hit or miss game with most people. It really does force you to think in a different way, which I like a lot, and it's very different from anything else I have ever played in my life. And I played some weird stuff, some wild stuff, some stuff, you know, like folding games and smelling games and all sorts of different stuff. But this is unlike anything I've played in the thousands of games I've played, which always attracts my interest. I think it's going to have a relatively good price. I like the artwork. The theme doesn't come across strongly enough, but it's all about the cutting. And in the end, I think ClipCut Parks is going to be one of those games that I think everybody's going to want to give a shot to see if it's your cup of tea. I think for some people it's going to go over like gangbusters. They had a solo mode, which we didn't get to learn much about, but I'd be excited to see how that works. And I was really intrigued by ClipCut Parks. This is one that's coming out, I believe, later this year. Keep your eyes on it. I liked it. I would love to personally have a copy myself. I think if I got a copy, I would definitely keep it, play it in my classroom. I think it's going to be a good family game, but I still think it's just out there and quick enough that it's absolutely going to be a great game night game as well. So that is ClipCut Parks from Renegade Games. Something different, something fun. Definitely one that you're going to want to put on your radar if you're into cutting games. I guess no, just check it out. It's out there. It's weird. It's different. Give it a shot. That is ClipCut Parks coming from Renegade Games. If it looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check that one out when it's released. And if you're enjoying what I'm doing, please click on that subscribe button down below. In the comments below, let me know if you could work at a big Silicon Valley company and you could pitch one wild, crazy, out there sort of techie idea. What's your idea? You got one over there, Nick?
No.
Okay. For me personally, I don't have one, but we're going to come with it. I would like a self-driving RV that's completely solar powered. just all solar powered, electric powered, self-driving, make it into a house, make it one of those ones that can like expand out on the side. So this could literally be just a house on wheels, and I can't wait for those to start, those coming. Because here's the thing, I've told my wife this, my wife's down with it, that's our retirement plan. Like, I want to get a self-driving RV once I get old enough, maybe still keep doing the channel, and just drive around the country, playing games. I think it'd be really stinking cool. But let me know in the comments below. What's your crazy out there techie idea? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.